Before we get into this episode of The Hassle of Hair, we want to give a big shout out to our sponsors. First up, we have Castro's Pool Service and Repair. If you guys need your guys' pool serviced, maintenance, clean, fixed, Castro's Pool Service and Repair is the place to go. Their phone number is 209-675-5418. That's 209-675-5418. Check them out today, guys. Support those that support us. This episode of The Hassle of Hair is brought to you by Nasty Tattoos, a Los Baños tattoo shop located on 555 I Street. That's 555 I Street. Go check them out, guys. All my tattoos are done by Nasty Tattoo artists. They also do body modifications. You guys go check them out. If you guys need to book an appointment, call the number 209-489-4655. That's 209-489-4655. Go check them out, guys. Nasty Tattoos. Support those that support us.
It's birthday!
I'm Jesse.
I'm Raquel.
This is The Hassle of Hair, a podcast.
Going after your dreams.
A podcast about going after your dreams.
Okay.
But no, it's a podcast about going after your dreams and finding your passion in life.
Yes.
And we're The Hassle of Hair.
For the Hassle of Hair?
We are The Hassle of Hair. Thanks for listening, guys. Love you. Thank you for doing this. You started a camp at Strike this week. And pretty successful. You had a bunch of kids there. And I wanted to have you on because of that you have went from wrestling in high school, college, and getting out of college and coaching to now you're traveling United States, just multiple camps. Like, how did wrestling start for you? Where did you start wrestling first?
Okay, no, that's a very good question. Obviously, I didn't have the most accomplished amateur career, and I'll go into that. Yeah, I'll go into that later about why it didn't work out and things like that. Why I never felt like I reached my potential. I'll go into that more later. But so I started wrestling when I was 4 years old. I have an older brother, 7 years older than I am, and he started going to wrestling practice. My dad never wrestled before, by the way, so it's not like I come from a wrestling family.
Yeah.
So my brother started doing it, and then I started wrestling. Went through all high school, and then I went to a Division II school, Seton Hill University, which is right by close to my hometown, in Greensboro, Pennsylvania. I wrestled all 4 years there. And then I was getting ready to graduate, get my bachelor's degree in political science. I really wasn't sure what I was going to do.
Did you wrestle? You wrestled?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I wrestled there at Seton Hill. I wrestled all 4 years. And so I'm getting ready to graduate. Really didn't know what I wanted to do. And so it was like, I don't know, April, maybe March, April. And I saw a job opportunity to become a grad assistant out in Texas. Now, I've never been to Texas in my life. I don't know anybody. Couldn't. And so I sent an email to the coach. He got back to me. 3 days later, I booked my plane ticket, flew out, saw the campus, got to check things out.
You said grad assistant?
Yes.
What
so
is
a grad assistant is somebody who goes to school while they're going to grad school. So you get the opportunity to, they'll cover your course credits, sometimes they'll cover your housing and meals, and then you'll get paid. You'll get a stipend, whatever it may be. Each college varies there. And so it was a nice gig. I mean, obviously, if you want to take more credits into your master's program, you paid for them and stuff like that. But they covered so many credits a semester, but you were still coaching. Mm-hmm. And you got housing, your meals, and then a stipend each month.
So you were coaching at the time?
Yes, I was coaching. I was a grad assistant is what they call it.
So you'd be okay, got it. So you're coaching plus you're going to school at the same time.
Yes, I'm going to grad school. I chose to become a teacher, which my mom and dad would tell you they would never thought in a million years I'd become a teacher.
Yeah.
So I get my master's degree in teaching. Master's education is the actual degree that's called there. And so I have a bachelor's degree in political science, and I have a master's degree in education. And then, so
that's a lot of years of school.
Yeah, it ended up being
6, right?
Yeah,
7.
it ended up being 7 years because I took a redshirt year where when you take a redshirt year, you don't necessarily get to compete in actual competitions, but you just wrestle in open tournaments and stuff like that. So when I first started at Seton Hill, it was the first year for the program ever. They had never had wrestling before on campus.
Yeah.
So in 2006, a bunch of us became a part of the program. So we started that program, okay? Now here's the other thing. So after that, I go to Wayland Baptist, and they're just starting their program. So I've been a part of first programs as an athlete and a coach.
Yeah.
Like breaking ground.
So you went from it's Seton or Seton?
It's Seton Hill.
Seton Hill. You went from Seton Hill from competing, and then you went to the Baptist school to coach.
Yes.
And both of them starting off right
Yes,
away.
yes.
Yeah.
We're both groundbreaking, programs. I don't think too many people have ever done that. Been a groundbreaking as an athlete and been groundbreaking as a coach as well. So,
Sorry for cutting you off, but being part of Strike and Strike is groundbreaking, right? There's no martial arts in Los Baños, so I understand that doing those two things, coaching and then competing, it's super hard because you're just breaking ground in the programs, and to get support it's probably hard to get support from other people when there's never been a wrestling program there before, right? Training partners.
Yeah, well, sometimes, but growing up in Pennsylvania, wrestling's pretty big. So we had a good group of guys. We had some kids from Maryland, different places, all came in same time. There was 8 or 9 of us the first year, and so it grew. And then when I went to Texas is a little different too. So it was the first time I was ever exposed to women's wrestling. Now this is back in 2010. And in Pennsylvania, we had no women's wrestling whatsoever. But in the state of Texas, they had sanctioned it in like 1999 or 2000, where every high school had women's wrestling.
Yeah.
Okay. And so the recruiting was, cool to learn about. I learned a lot them 2 years of coaching. Okay, so I really learned a lot, and also I grew as a person, not just physically but mentally. I was on my own, 1,000 miles away from home.
Yeah.
I didn't know anybody. Like I'd never met anybody before in my life there. I'd absolutely, people go places because they know family or whatever.
Yeah.
I knew absolutely nobody. Like I had no reason to go there except to go to school. So it took me out of my comfort zone where I had to go and learn a new culture. I had to meet new people. I got to experience a lot. It really developed me mentally. It really helped a lot.
But so when you were when you seen the job opportunity, what made your final decision? Because that's a big decision. Like, did someone talk you into going, or you just said, I'm just going to go?
No, I'm gone. Like
Yeah.
once I told, said, hey, I was from Pennsylvania. Like I did all this stuff. Like I wanted to get into coaching.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to give a shot at coaching because I really don't know, what I want to do with a political science degree. There was obviously options at the end of graduation. And I was like, I don't really want to go into that yet. Or, maybe not at all.
Yeah.
So
Buck Watkins for mayor.
Right. No. No, I've never run for political office. Yeah. But so I took that opportunity. I took a chance. And so it made me, I'll tell you this, I really wanted to get away from home because I felt that I had let myself down so much and I had a chip on my shoulder. And I was like, I didn't do what I wanted to do as an athlete. And
with wrestling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that bothers me. It's I still have a chip on my shoulder about it every day. But I think that instead of using it as a crutch, I use it as a chisel to accomplish the impossible. And I knew that I could help athletes become better through my struggles, through the things that I struggle with. And, that's why I am where I am today, coaching a pretty good high school team that's grown every year, and we have some outstanding individuals already on team that are getting ready to be met with other individuals who come through the program at this time, where a team's really going to grow. In the same way with my camps,
Am I lowering that?
I've grown a lot in coaching and teaching, and my wrestling camps have grown from 2 in 2015 to over doing 10 to 12 to, more.
Around
each
the United
summer.
States.
Yeah, around the
Yeah.
country. That's a lot,
Before we get into that, like, so you went to Texas, and you were coaching and going to school. What brought you from that to high school wrestling?
Okay, so kind of funny. So I get down to Texas, right, and I start getting in there, coaching wrestling, whatever. Go through my 2 years, graduate, and before I do that, I'm like, I want to fight MMA.
Yeah.
Okay.
I totally forgot about that.
Okay,
Too.
so I take an amateur fight, start training at this small little gym in Plainview, Texas, and there's a fighter there who's at the time is at the WEC. This is before UFC took over the WEC.
Yeah.
And his name's Leonard Garcia. He fought the Korean Zombie, and it's one of the greatest fights ever. You ever want to watch it, you can YouTube it. And so he's from Plainview, Texas, and I meet his cousin in a barbershop. One of the first days I'm there, and I'm like, hey, I know wrestling, And in Plainview, they don't have high school wrestling, so they have a gym. Not a whole lot of wrestling there, not a whole lot of wrestling coaches. So I go in the gym, I start training a little bit. And then I get an opportunity to go out to what we know today as, Cowboys Ranch.
Yeah.
And so I get an opportunity to go out there one weekend. I get to train with some of the guys, get to learn. And it was rough. It was tough. You want to talk about, whether or not you got what it takes, you learn real quick, right?
Yeah.
So I get done graduating, and instead of going home right away, I move out there. I move out to the ranch. Like, I'm living at the ranch, we're training, doing everything, And I'll tell you what, that was one of the greatest experiences I could ever ask for.
Yeah.
Not just because, you're living with professional athletes, guys who are getting in the UFC and everything, and you're learning about a sport, but you're learning that there's another level to this, okay?
Wrestling, in your head, was it wrestling, another level to wrestling, or was it another level to fighting, or just in life in general?
Well, the fighting part, it's a different world when somebody's fighting for a living.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, there's people who go out and fight and things like that. But so I did a round. I've done, I want to say maybe 3 rounds with Cowboy. This back 2012 after I graduated or whatever. Still to this day, I've never been leg kicked so hard in my life.
Yeah.
And there's certain times when you get to a level and you're like, this isn't for me. Like, this is a different breed of person.
Yeah.
And, I had the opportunity, went to Jackson's a couple times, things like that. Like, there was regiment. Like, I was in the best shape of my life, no doubt about it, I don't regret any of it. Oh, I'd do it all over again. I'd do it even harder.
Yeah.
But it was a great experience. It really opened my eyes to a lot. I'm still friends. I still talk to Leonard Garcia sparingly and the family and friends that I made there in Plainview, Texas, through the fight gyms and stuff like that. Like, I still talk to them, And so I still understand, like, what's going on, keeping up with people.
Yeah.
And, I'm grateful for that, grateful for relationships. But that was a life-changing experience. Because, number one, I got to learn what it was going to like to train like a high-level athlete.
Yeah.
Okay, that was one thing. Number two, I got to be around professional athletes like all the time. Like people who are legitimately making money, big-time money, to do what they love for a living.
Yeah.
And so that was really eye-opener, okay? So after that, I decide to go home, right? So I fly home. I don't have a job yet.
How many years was it from you going over there to leaving?
So I got to Texas in 2010, and I'd been to Cowboys 2010. I'd been to Cowboys in 2011. Like I was do a weekend or whatever, and then in the May of 2012, I finally moved over there. Until 2012 in November, I decided to come home. Like, actually, it was December. It was right before Christmas. Okay,
Yeah.
So I come home, and I don't have a job or anything, right? So I find a job being a dishwasher. Okay. Now I got 2 degrees.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Okay, hold on. So I got 2 degrees, so I'm looking for a job. Find a job as a dishwasher. And this is 2012. And so one of the life-changing points, okay, in my life is in June 2012, I get baptized. I give my life to Christ. And it has been the greatest change that's ever happened to me in my life. It's still number one, the greatest thing that's ever happened to me.
Yeah.
At this point. So right after I get baptized, right, I got a degree in teaching. Okay, so no, the Pennsylvania teaching job is hard. I applied for a job down in North Carolina, first time ever. I'd never been to North Carolina. Again, I don't know nobody.
Yeah.
What the heck's the difference? I've flown to Texas, didn't know nobody, so
You flown to Texas to jump into a grad assistant, then you jump into going to Cowboys Ranch, then you're jumping in like you take chances.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. And look, I'm not that type of like I didn't grow up to be that type of person.
Yeah.
And a lot of people will tell you, oh, he's not that type of person. He'll process everything, and which I do a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, I process like the good, the bad, the pros, the cons. But at this point in my life, I wasn't. I was going to take a chance, right?
Yeah.
So I become a teacher. I teach at this high school called Mount Tabor High School. I become assistant wrestling coach at this point. They hadn't had a winning season or broke 500 in a couple years. So the head coach ends up getting hurt. He tears his bicep, right? So he can't show any moves or anything anymore.
Was he showing a move when he tore it? Or?
No, he had torn it doing something else. I'm not sure exactly what happened. So he was like, look, I'll do the paperwork. We got to go drive the bus. All you got to do is coach and show wrestling. I was like, it's perfect. So we end up going a little bit over 500. First time we had a winning record in about, I don't know, a couple years. I forget how many years.
And this is kind of like, this is
This is 2013.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is like, so I get back home December 2012. I have a job to teach in North Carolina by July 2013.
Yeah.
So I'd given my life to Christ. This is June 2013. So it, happened pretty quickly, right? Everything happens quickly.
And
so,
is this your first team that you're kind of leading?
Yes. This is the first time I ever get a high school job. For a high school coaching job, I decided, hey, look, I can coach some wrestling.
And you flipped it from being a losing to a 500
right.
record.
So, anyways, it really didn't work out. So I stopped working there after my first year. Okay, just differences, things, no hardships or anything. And then the next year, I get a call. Well, that same year, I'm getting ready to, it's end of June or whatever. I know I don't have a job here or anything. So I'm like packing up my bags. I'm ready to go back home, So I get a call from an AD at a school about 30 minutes away. It's a small rural school. And it's called West Oaks High School. And so they give me a teaching job. I'm offered a head coaching job. I'm like, oh, all right, this is my first time.
Yeah.
So we have a winning record. Okay, my first head coaching job. I have I want to say 3 seniors on the team. I have 8, 9 guys on the team. But we have a winning record, wrestle a lot. Then next year, I have 10, 12 freshmen come out. Just 10, 12 freshmen. And I only had 9, 10 guys my first year. So I had 10, 12 freshmen. I have over 25 guys on the team next year. We end up winning the conference. We probably would have made it further in the state tournament. but we wrestled the state champs right off the bat. We got a bad seed because we're co-conference champs. I'd won conference coach of the year. We get a tough draw there. And we end up, losing. We had wrestled a team before in the season. They were one of our losses. We lost like 3 times. 3 times. We won 21-3 as a team.
Yeah.
Something like that. Like, it was really good.
That's your second year?
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
like, we have grown a lot. Like, strength in numbers, kids bought in, parents bought in. And then my job gets furloughed. So in North Carolina, it's a right-to-work state. I was the last person hired. They were making cuts.
Yeah.
And, so I was done.
Yeah.
So I got my bags. I moved to Florida for 6 months. Okay. And, tried coaching down there. Just it really didn't work out. Didn't, just fit what they're looking for or whatever. And so I get a call from 2 parents. The mom and dad, I should say. And they're like, hey, I need you to work with my rep. We'd like you to come help coach. We heard you're coming back, and you help work with our son.
Were you, at this moment when you got furloughed and you moved back, was there a point where you're kind of like, was this a hardship for you? Was this a tribulation for you? Was this a bad time or?
No, I'm gonna push through it.
Yeah.
Okay, like I'm not gonna use an excuse. I'm gonna find a way to push through. Like, I'm just gonna go through it. I look at it this way: every trial and tribulation is an opportunity for growth. I could sit there and make excuses.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna blame nobody. I'm not gonna make excuses. Choice I made, I own them. And so we get to that point, right? So a parent calls, said, hey, I want you to work we're here, you're coming back. You work with our son. You be a volunteer assistant. So I become a volunteer assistant, start working out with a young man every day, okay? And this high school program's just getting started, okay? Hold on.
Yeah, the third one.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're just getting started. There's 3 kids on the team. And hold on. I'm the assistant. I'm a volunteer, so I'm not even the head coach. I'm not getting paid. The head coach had started the program years ago, whatever. So things are built, obviously, at some point you're going to prosper, and we'll get to that point. But so we start off there, and nobody had ever placed in state tournament wrestling, obviously, or, had really placed in states and other sports. Kids ends up taking third, right? Third in state of Pennsylvania. He loses to a guy who ends up wrestling Division I at the University of Iowa.
Jesus.
And the other guy is now ranked number 1 in the country. The guy took second, is now ranked number 1 in the country at 149 pounds, wrestling per pit. And he takes third in the weight class, okay? So the head guy decides to step down or whatever.
Yeah.
And I become the head coach, okay? So we get my first year, I think it was 5 guys. Yeah, 5, 6 guys we had first year in my program. And
How do you push through that?
Hold on.
Okay.
so you're asking me, what do you do?
Yeah.
Okay? So it's learn to trust the process and love what it produces.
Yeah.
Okay? Because like I was telling in camp, there's 3 things you got to be. You got to be patient, you got to be present, and you got to be deliberate. Okay? So when you're building a team, building a program, you got to be patient because sometimes numbers just aren't going to be there. This is new, it's foreign, it's never been around. Start at the bottom, all right? And obviously I didn't start the youth program, so, that's still new to me, so there's a lot of patience. Number 2, you got to be present. I try to be there all the time. With my jobs and flexibility and everything, I try to be there as much as possible, okay?
Yeah.
And number 3, you got to be deliberate. I'm here to win. I'm going to do whatever it takes, okay? So after that second year, my first year of coaching, okay, I become the head coach. The season's 2017, 2018. I have first state champ ever in school history. I'm the head coach. This kid ends up winning state title that next year. Okay, he had took third, won state title, then he won state title. Then he ends up taking second in state his senior year. There was bad calls, whatever. I'm not gonna make excuses. He didn't make excuses either. He ends up going to Lehigh, right? But each of these years in this process, we've grown as a team. We've grown numbers. And this next year, this coming year, I'm going to have 6, 7 guys who wrestle clubbing all year round. And I'm going to have probably 20, 25 guys on the team, hopefully. Yeah. And so we're really going to get really tough here in a matter of time. And I have a young man on my team who's a 2-time Pennsylvania state champ. He's one of the top recruits in the country. He's the number 2 ranked recruit in the class 2024 in the state of Pennsylvania. And he's top 4 ranked in his weight class. He's very tough. He's actually gotten a lot better because he's fully healthy. And so he hasn't really been competing a whole lot this summer, so nobody knows how good he's gotten. But I've felt it. I mean, he's 200 pounds right now. I've felt the power. And I have guys coming in the morning. I have some freshmen coming in the morning. I have some sophomores coming. I have juniors coming in the morning that are wrestling and are getting better. So I was deliberate. Every time, you want to rise a new level, you got to change what you're doing. And we had the opportunity to practice this summer, get some summer workouts in. And so you get more, you be deliberate by doing that. Like, hey, I want to win. And I'm not one to push anything. People's always reached out to me for help. I'm not one to push in and say, hey, look, I need to help your kid or whatever. I'm not that way, because I don't believe in, telling someone what to do. I think that, the results speak for themselves. Like, this guy's helped somebody become a state champ. And, I've developed good relationships with people, not just in the state of PA. I had a grandma one time, a grandma or a mom, she messaged me on Facebook, and she's like, hey, my son went to your camp, and he hit a move that you showed him to win a state title. This is in the state of Virginia.
Yeah.
Like, she said out of all the camps that he went to, this was one where he learned the most. And I'll never forget that. That means a lot to me. That means it's just, and the other thing is like each message I get, or, I have kids who graduate high school and, they've gone on to do different jobs and things, but they never forget. I'm coach. I'm not just some normal person. Like, I'm coach. And I generally appreciate that. And so, in October 2020, I became a dad for the first time, okay? My girlfriend and I had a little baby. And, I get this question all the time. Oh, is your son going to wrestle? It's not necessarily that it's important to me that he wrestles. It's important to me who he's around during my journey and during his journey. That's more important to me than whether or not he ever wrestles. Because me putting him around good individuals and good people is highly more important and more value to me than a medal. Yeah. And that's a philosophy of my wrestling camps. Like, I don't want you to walk out and just learn a wrestling move. I want you to walk out a more confident person. I want you to be more deliberate. I want you to be more patient. I want you to learn to be more present. I want you to do all those things and carry it for the rest of your life.
And speaking about those camps, I think that's the number one thing that intrigues me is, and you even said it, that your amateur career wasn't like full of credentials, but you've built this thing where you're traveling the United States doing camps.
Right.
Where like that's a hustle in itself. That's not that it is a wrestling talent, but to be able to build that's a whole different hustle.
Oh, no, let me tell you how this hustle started. This hustle started in April of 2015 at 11 o'clock at night. I started messaging people on Instagram.
Yeah.
That's how this hustle started. And I got 2 camps. My first camp was in My first 2 camps were in Fountain, Colorado, and Rain, Louisiana. 2 places I'd never been before in my life.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, started growing. I think that one summer, I traveled over 40,000 miles in my truck. And I've been the whole way out of Wyoming. And I probably did, I don't know, I think over 20 camps that summer.
Yeah.
I was hustling. Let me tell you how much I hustled. So I drove 13 hours. I was in a parking lot an hour before camp was starting in Colorado, and a coach knocked on the window to wake me up. But I was there. I was there on time. I've never been late for any other reason at a camp.
Yeah.
I've always been on time. I've always been present. And, obviously, I've gotten better as a clinician. I obviously keep studying. Like, I don't think people realize, people never know, and they don't have to, how much film I study and how much involved. Not just studying film, but I read a lot of books. And I read a lot of books not on wrestling. I read a lot of books that are life-changing. Like what makes a person successful. I don't care whether you play basketball. I don't care whether you shoot a bow. I don't care whether you play soccer. I don't care whether you're an ultra marathon runner. There's something that you do that I want to emulate. Yeah. I want to know what makes a person undeniable in what they do. Like why do they have undeniable success? What makes them get to that next level? That's what I want to become. I want to become undeniable. I don't care what anybody says about me. I don't care what anybody thinks. The results are undeniable. And that's what I want. I want to become undeniable. I'm not worried about becoming great. I'm not worried about becoming good. I want somebody to say, no matter what you do, that person has become undeniable in what they do. And that's what I want.
It's crazy because like I'm like new to my coaching career, right? I'm new to all this. Like it's been a year and a half, about 2 years into just straight coaching, and I'm picking up on more of how do you become undeniable? How does somebody become undeniable? It doesn't really, because that's the hard part, right? It's how, like I look at like coaches like Phil Jackson, Bill Belichick of the Patriots. Like nobody wanted him as a coach, Bill Belichick for the Patriots. Everybody thought he was crazy, right? The way he ran things, but he just kept on chugging and just became undeniable. His record, his approach to things. I mean, his athletes became undeniable. So there's no telling him like he was a bad coach, right? And it's cool because I'm trying to learn that too right now. So it's just it's cool to hear.
No, it's a long process. You're not gonna wake up and obviously become good at something, but you're also not gonna become good at something sitting on a couch. Yeah. You got to get out the door. And, that's the biggest mistake people make. There's been a lot of $1 million ideas just sitting on the couch because they don't want to get off it and go try it because they're afraid to fail. And I understand that. Okay? Growing up, I had some of the best coaching you could ask for in the country and everything. I was around Olympians, All-Americans, all those things. Learned so much high-level technique. And you don't, get the results you feel that you deserve or, you didn't perform. And that's where this right here, the engine, if this engine isn't working right, the rest of the car's not going to run well, right? Yeah. And, this wasn't right, so the rest of my body didn't, perform the way that it should. I don't think people realize how important this is until they see the struggle or learn to overcome something.
And for the people listening, he's talking about the brain.
Yeah. I'm talking about the mental side of sport. Yeah. Sports are 90-95% mental. And I don't think people realize that until you think positive, you walk positive, you learn to overcome hardships, you learn to develop mental toughness, you learn to develop clarity, you do all these things, goal setting and things like that. You do all those things and you learn to develop, more importantly, a why. A house without a foundation, isn't very strong. And for you to do something without a strong why, it's all for nothing.
Yeah.
So, like, I was wrestling, but I didn't have a strong why. Yeah, I wanted to be a champ. Okay. There's hundreds of other people who want to be a champ.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I wasn't putting it together mentally. And, I dealt with the nervousness. I dealt with, the fear of failure. I dealt with all the things that kids struggle today. So I'm able to help them. I'm able to relate to them a lot because I get it.
Yeah.
I know what it's like. Nobody's going to tell me different. If I had the same mindset I have now as a kid, it'd probably be my life would be totally different. Life would be easier. Like, people are like, what do you mean life's be easier? You know how much easier it is to get a camp when you have national champ or All-American?
Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm not joking. It's a lot easier to get a camp when you have those two titles in front of your name. I promise you.
But that's what I'm saying. The fact that you built this thing, this machine that you've built, and essentially it's your own business, and you don't have that credential, and it means that you're grinding, and you got there 13 hours early, 14 hours early, and fell asleep, and you talked about your why. You didn't have a why back then. What's your why doing the camp? Like, when you're driving that far, what was your why that you're driving? And
because I want to make a difference.
Yeah.
I believe, my passion has turned into a purpose, a God-given purpose, in a society that makes everything so easy and there's a whole bunch of handouts and, people walk through life with their head down, don't want to become more confident. I want each individual to understand that wrestling's hard, life's going to be hard, but you're going to learn to overcome and become confident with it. And that's, wrestling my passion. But my purpose is greater. My purpose is to change lives. I don't care what anybody says, know. And I want to become undeniable at it. Like, I want kids and parents to walk out of there and be like, my kid learned something. But more importantly, they learn the most powerful thing in the world is to believe in yourself. It is. It's the most powerful. You talk to any high-level coach, any high-level athlete, they'll tell them, you believe in yourself. Without hesitation, they'll tell you, yeah. It's the most powerful thing in the world in my eyes, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And so knowing that I don't have any of these credentials or any of this backing or anything, it has allowed me to endure. I know that people are going to have more credentials. I know people are going to have, more opportunities because they have this, they have that, they have all this backing, they have a following, whatever. That causes me to work harder. I got to study more film.
Yeah.
I got to break down more position. I got to get in a room. I got to find smaller schools. I got to find different avenues to incorporate to go out and work harder. Like, there's a lot of people out there that work hard and things like that. There's people in my line of business who I have a total value of a lot of respect for. They're great at what they do, but I got a niche too, I got a following that I have and, what I'm willing to do. Obviously my goal right now, just a thing, is I got to get to 50 states and I need 5 more to cover.
Yeah.
And, after you've been to 45 states, you got 5 more. You're almost done. I'm getting ready to finish up here pretty soon, whenever that may be. But it's not about, just reaching that result. It's been about the journey. You have no idea how many people I've met, how many different types of things I've experienced that I would never experience in my life if I didn't take his journey.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about to me. It's all about the journey. It's not about the wins and losses. It's not about what you're accomplishing. It's about the journey and how much you learn from it and how much you've grown as a person. And like I said, it's open opportunities and doors for my son at this point. Like, yes, it's absolutely hard when you got a 1.5, almost 2-year-old son at home. Dad's away for 2 or 3 days and he's getting ready to come home. There's no greater joy when he runs to the door when you walk in or sometimes you'll get there late and he'll be sleeping. And you just know that this is why you're doing this, like it's exciting to come home and a lot of people give up their dreams because they want to, they're like, oh, I got kids and things like that. And I get that. I respect that.
Yeah.
But like I said, I'm not going to use my kid as a crutch. I'm going to use my son as a chisel. We're going to hammer away at the impossible. At some point he's going to be old enough where I'm going to do it with him if I have to. You're coming too. We're going to make this work.
Yeah.
And, meeting all these people, open these avenues, the doors, businessmen, businesswomen, meeting all these great families, great individuals, it has allowed me to have those type of people surrounded my son. And I love that.
It's crazy because it in doing this thing, the podcast, and I usually have it at my house, but we're at Coach Jose's house, but it was the number one thing what I was thinking when I'm doing the podcast and I'm doing the whole martial arts thing is I keep on thinking I'm bringing a different atmosphere to my family. Like everybody in martial arts, everybody that I bring on my show, like they're people that are doing something with their lives. And if I could have that around me, around my family, then it's like a booster in all of our lives. And it's a good thing. And I think a lot of people don't get that feeling.
Well, yeah, it's a power of influence, and they always say if you're around 5 millionaires, you'll become sixth, right?
Yeah.
You're around 5 bad people, you'll become sixth. And so to me, it's the power of influence is a big thing. And so I'm grateful for the the people I've been around, people I'm getting look forward to meeting, people that are going to come into my life and want to succeed, want to do well, going to be life-changing, not only for me, but for my son and family. And, it's opened opportunities, getting these connections, getting everything rolling here. And I look forward to the future.
Yeah. And one more, I think 2 more questions. And what's next? What's next for I know you want to get to 50, to 5 more states. Like what happens when you get to the 5 more states? What's your next goal after that?
Okay. That's a good question. I got 2 goals that I really want to accomplish. Obviously, after I get that finished, I either have 2 goals. Number 1, I'm going to open my own wrestling club, or number 2, I'm going to coach in college. Because one of my goals at the end of the day is I want to be in a chair Saturday night at Division I level, and my wrestlers competing for a national title in Division I in front of live TV, in front of 100,000 people. Something I want to do. And the other thing is, like I was talking to you the other day, I want to be in a corner on a Bellator or UFC fight. I'd like to work somebody that's wrestling who's looking for a fight, that needs a wrestling coach or whatever. Fly me in, a couple weeks, work on. Give me, I would love that opportunity because I really believe I can really help someone, not just physically but mentally as well. And all it's going to take is that one opportunity, that one shot, and I'll jump right on it, and I'll take it. That's one thing that I want. I love that opportunity. So if there's ever a fighter out there that's getting ready to go to Bellator or UFC and looking for a wrestling coach, hit me up on Instagram or whatever social media, and give me the opportunity. I promise I won't let you down.
And then you said you want to do the way you talk about cornering, especially in the college wrestling, it sounds like you have visions of it. Like you could see yourself there. Like,
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
I just, I don't know. I just keep building every day,
yeah.
and I've learned, like, I've endured a lot. Probably not the same type of hardships that other people have, but I've endured hardships. I've endured failure. I'm not gonna use anything as a crutch no more. I've threw that out the window. After 2012, when I gave my life to Christ, I quit giving excuses.
Yeah.
I quit giving myself the opportunity to be an excuse. There's a lot of areas in my life where I gotta grow. I'm still growing. I want to become the best parent. I want to become the best boyfriend, husband, that I can become. And I'm not where I need to be yet, but I'm working towards it. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. But I'm not the best coach yet either. I got a lot of things I want to get better at. There's a lot of, I look at where I need to get better at, and that's what I want to become. But again, it's reading, it's studying, who's the best out there, and what can I emulate from them? What can I take away from them for me to become better? So that's where I'm at.
And I think number one, and it even talking to you, really, it's like it made it solid in my head that as an athlete, like I'm like, winning and losing matters. Like, to me, like as an athlete, winning and losing, it's like if you lose, if you win, it matters. But then now as I start going into coaching, it's all the wins and losses don't really matter. It's the growth. Like that's why I think you're able to say, you know what, I'm not gonna make any more excuses, because you're just seeing like it's growing. Like I'm getting somewhere, and I think it's just sitting down with you and getting into your head and talking to you about this stuff. It's awesome. It's awesome that I'm glad that Coach Jose has that connection for Strike. I'm glad that you're there opening the doors for us for better wrestling. And is there anything that you want to tell? It could be a wrestler that wants to get into coaching. It could be into somebody trying to do something. Like, do you have any words for people trying to just better themselves?
Look, the first step, you just got to get off the couch, got to get out of bed, got to get out the door. If you stay in your confinements of just, in where you're comfortable on a couch or comfortable in bed, nothing's going to get accomplished. With that being said, if you're looking for more insightful, information on how to develop a better, stronger mindset, reach out to me and I'll point you in the right direction and we'll get moving from there.
How do people get a hold of you?
So if anybody's, listening here, I'm very active on social media. You can find me on Instagram, Buck _, Buck _ Watkins, WATKINS. You can find me on Twitter. It's Mindset Coach BW. You can find me on Facebook. It's Buck Watkins. I have Watkins Wrestling. It's a Facebook page as well. I'm not very hard to find. I try to stay active as much as possible on social media for a good reason. If you reach out to me, I'll get back to you within 24 hours. Given the opportunity, whether you're a fighter or a wrestler, given the opportunity to work with you, I'd love the opportunity and show you what I can do and, help you gain your goals or, what you're looking to achieve. So just give me the opportunity, and, I'm thankful for the opportunity to be in this podcast to share what I do, what I've done, and what you don't want to do as a person, and, the struggles and hardships that I've overcome. They might not be to the same scale as other people, but, failure's failure, and hardship's hardship, and no matter what type of hardship it is, people just have different hardships, but, how you handle them and how you push forward, says a lot about what your integrity is and what type of character you have as a person.
Yeah. Keep going, guys. Yeah. Thank you, Buck Watkins. Thank you guys for listening. I'll put all the links below, or you'll find it on Instagram. I'll have all those links for you guys. Thank you for listening, guys. Peace.